Hello, welcome back. Guys, in this video, I'm going to show you guys how to can venison for beginners. Canning venison is actually very easy to do. It does take a little bit of an investment in some equipment, but once you've got that equipment moving forward, it's actually really cheap way to store your venison. It doesn't require any refrigeration. It'll keep for a year or more. It's just a great way to keep cooked venison without refrigeration for quick and easy meals, or you can also get creative with the canned venison. So in this video, I'm going to show you everything start to finish for canning venison at home. I'm going to edit out all the boring parts, but I am going to put the parts in there that raised questions for me when I first got started, including with the canner that I use. So hit that subscribe button down there, give me that thumbs up, like button, and don't forget the bell icon so you don't miss any videos. Check this out. Alright, I got some great hindquarter roast here, and I'm just cubing this up. You can cut it in strips, you can cut it in cubes. For this part, there's really no hard and fast rules, other than you want to get rid of any of the fat that you can see, especially the heavy fat and the heavy silver skin. Go ahead and get that off the meat. The canning process is going to turn silver skin like this into basically a gelatin anyway, so it's not going to hurt a thing. It's going to liquefy anything like that. But the heavy fat, you want to get off as much of that as you can. And I usually just cube it up into pieces about yay big, maybe a little smaller, no big deal either way. Before you start packing your meat, put your lids in a pot of water and boil them. Just bring that up to a boil. It sterilizes the lids and it gets those seals nice and soft so they'll seal better. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take quart jars and cold pack this meat. Basically just means packing cold meat in the jar. And we're going to fill it up to within 1 inch of the rim. And we want to pack this pretty tight too, so don't be afraid to shove it on down in there. I want to get as much of the air out as possible. Alright, that looks pretty good. Make sure your jars are clean. Everything needs to be clean, because what we're doing here is sterilizing and pasteurizing the meat in your pressure cooker. So the cleaner you start, the better your results are going to be. It's real hard to do this wrong if you follow the directions that came with your canner. Having a canning kit like this that's got a jar fill and funnel and a little packing tool and a little magnetic jar lid lifter all come in real handy. There'll be a link to all the equipment used down in the description below this video to make it easy to find. I got my stuff on Amazon. Your local Walmart might have it. But of course, Amazon is everything these days. Alright, this is a very important step here. You can use vinegar or you can use water, but you got to make real sure that you get these rims of these jars good and clean. It is non-negotiable. You want these things to seal up good. They're going to be keeping your food without refrigeration. You got to make sure that these rims are clean. So just give them a good wipe. You'll be ready to put the lids and rings on. Once you got them all packed, just add a single cube of beef bouillon to each jar. Just using regular old beef bouillon. Six. Now if you want, you can add onions, garlic, pretty much whatever you want to this meat. Because we use it for a lot of different things, I just put a single cube in there of bouillon. That way I can dress this meat up any way I want when we pull it out to eat later. Also, some people will tell you to add water just up to the meat. Some people will tell you don't add water. I'm going to tell you don't add water. I haven't seen that it's necessary. This meat's going to cook down and make its own liquid. Doesn't need water. Now this is where that magnetic jar lifter would come in handy if I hadn't lost mine. So I'm just going to use a fork to fish the hot lids out. Put them on those jars. Ouch. Now one of the questions I had at the beginning was, how tight do you put these rings? You don't have to put them on farmer tight, but they should be good and snug, because that lid is going to suck down after you've pressure cooked this stuff. So like I said, not farmer tight, but pretty snug. And last jar. Alright, let's get the canner ready. Alright, you'll want to follow your canner's instructions. My canner only calls for about 1 inch of water in the bottom of it. You can see the water line from previous cannings in there, so I know where to fill it up, but most of them have a mark on how much water to put in. It doesn't take a lot. You're going to make steam. Steam's going to make pressure. That's what cooks the food. Now this is a trick I did not know when I first used my canner. 2 tablespoons of plain white vinegar will keep your jars nice and shiny clean. If you don't, hard water deposits will form and make your jars look cloudy. So just regular old white vinegar, the same thing you use to wipe off the jar lids. Alright, you want to put the pot over the burner with the most horsepower to get this thing up to temperature and steaming. And your canner will come with one of these little separators to put on the bottom, which will keep your jars up off the bottom of the pot. Now just arrange your jars in the bottom of the canner. Don't think it really matters, but I like to kind of evenly space them. There we go. All 6 jars fit in there very nicely. And lock your lid on. Now this is the Presto canner. This is the one that I got. I got it off Amazon. I'll put a link to this and the other equipment in the description below. This is a pretty easy canner to use. Right now, we're just going to build the temperature on this thing until steam starts coming out of that vent. When steam comes out of that vent real good, we time it for 10 minutes to make sure all the air is vented out. Put the weight on it and run the pressure up to 11 pounds for 90 minutes. Alright, now when you're canning, a lot of this stuff is a waiting game in between steps, like waiting for that pot to come up to temperature and start steaming. So now's a great time to just start cleaning up some of the mess. Now here's a tip. It's going to start spitting steam, kind of like this. I don't know if it's going to show up good, but it's just spitting here and there. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for a steady flow of steam out of that port. You'll also notice this little safety lock is still down. That's going to pop up like a turkey timer when we start actually building pressure in this canner. That keeps you from accidentally opening the lid while it still has pressure on it. It won't let you open the lid. It actually locks it. Alright, now some of these parts is a lot of standing around and waiting, but something that really makes this go a lot faster that you should always have in your canning is canning oil. It's very important to have canning oil on hand. Helps everything go faster, helps you not worry about stuff, and it definitely really helps the whole process go a lot better. Now my favorite canning oil, Beer Assistant, is made by the Miller Brewing Company. So again, you should always have canning oil on hand when you're going to do canning. It's going faster already. See? It's almost there. Alright, that's what we're looking for. A steady stream of steam. So now we'll let that vent for 10 minutes. Yep, needs a little bit more canning oil. Now this is one of the things I wish somebody would have been able to explain to me. This little lock right here is going to vent and pop and spit and carry on until it locks open. That's normal. Don't worry about it. Alright, it vented for 10 minutes. We went ahead and put the pressure regulating weight on there and the lock popped up immediately. Now we're just running it up to 11 pounds of pressure and we'll keep it there for 90 minutes. You know what that means. Thank you, Beer Assistant. More canning oil. Alright, in all seriousness, you're going to have to monitor this pressure and probably adjust the heat up and down as you go. As the food cooks, it'll build up a little bit more heat inside and you'll probably have to turn it down. So it's not quite a constant battle to keep that gauge at the pressure setting that you're looking for. Your canner might be different. Read the instruction manual. UMEN, RTFM. If you need to know what that stands for, I'll put that in the link in the description below too. But this is a family show. Okay, now stick with me because the end of this process is just as important as the beginning and the middle of this process. Once you've hit your 90 minutes, turn the heat off and let the canner cool off and let the pressure go all the way to 0 by itself. Don't touch it. You can see the pressure is going down slow. Don't remove the weight. Don't worry about the lock. That will drop down by itself. And you don't do anything until all of that's 0, the gauge is 0, the lock's unlocked. But I'd still wait a little bit before you unlock this top.
What do you mean by a little bit longer?
If you don't wait until that pressure finishes bleeding off and this cools a little bit, it'll like to burn your face off when you pop that lid off of there. Alright, the gauge is on 0 and the lock just released. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that weight very carefully with a pot holder. And I'm going to give this thing a few more minutes to cool off just a little bit more. Be very careful when you unlock the lid and open it away from you. So you don't get burned with all that steam. Alright, I'll bet it's been a good 10 or 15 minutes since I took the lid off. I carefully pull these jars out, set them on a towel on a counter, and let them cool naturally. And you can see they made their own liquid. Oh, you hear that? That one's sealed. That's a sound of success right there. There you go. Move this out the way. And as you can see, the liquid is still boiling inside those jars. That meat's still cooking. And as they cool, they'll seal the rest of the way by themselves. So you can just leave them alone right there and let them cool off naturally and put them away in the morning. So there you go. Just let the jars cool off naturally. Leave them overnight. You can put them in your pantry when you're done. One test you want to do to make sure everything's sealed good is push down on the center of those lids. I'm not going to do it now because they're hot. And if those lids move up and down, it didn't seal good. Put that jar in the refrigerator and go on and use it within the next week or so and you'll be fine. They should all seal. And a lot of times you'll be able to count the pings and know that every one of them sealed. One more thing, don't leave that vinegar water in your pot. Vinegar will eat aluminum. Get that out of there. Go ahead and give it a quick rinse so you can clean it in the morning. So there you go. There's links in the description below to all of the equipment used. Feel free to leave comments, ask me questions. I'll answer them the best I can. I've been doing this now for 2 seasons, so it's not like I've been doing it a lifetime, but I've learned an awful lot. And I learned a lot by asking questions. So you guys ask questions if you have them, and I'll do my best to answer them. Hit that subscribe button down there. Don't forget the bell icon so you don't miss any videos. Thumbs up like button sure would be nice. We'll see you next time.